Well, hello, peoples of the Escape from Tarkov universe. Welcome to another Tarkov Made Easy video where we give you the tools and tips needed to suck a little less at this very difficult game. Do you find yourself losing most PvP fights or maybe paralyzed with fear when you hear another player? Don't worry, I'm going to try to help you out. My name is Trexcapades and I'm a full-time partnered Twitch streamer and Tarkov super grinder. I sometimes dream of Tarkov and often check my crafts and insurance first thing when I wake up. That said, today I want to go over my top PvP tips and Escape from Tarkov. Whether you're a brand new player or a seasoned veteran looking for a little refresher, there's probably something here for you. So let's jump into the list like a fat kid doing a cannonball at a summer pool party. For these tips, we'll start with the basics and move on from there. Tip 1. Bring the proper heals. New players are often overwhelmed with the Tarkov heal system, and for good reason. I'm not going to go in depth on how healing and death work in Escape from Tarkov, but I'll quickly run through what you should definitely bring into each raid to increase your survival rate. Here's what you'll need. Something to stop heavy bleeds like an S-March or hemostat, something to stop a light bleed like bandages or a med kit such as a Saliwa, a splint or immobilizing splint to repair broken bones, and finally painkillers of some sort to keep you on the move and keep your vision from blurring from pain or other negative status effects. Tip 2. Don't forget to pop a painkiller before a fight. Quite often, you'll know when you're about to get into some action, and having a painkiller running before you get shot will help you with negative status effects, broken bones, stabilizing your aim if you're shot, and most importantly, it'll keep you from limping and being a complete sitting duck if you get shot in the leg. Tip number 3. Be mindful of your crosshair placement. I so often see players move around the map with their gun pointed toward the floor. It's very natural to keep your crosshair pointed down because the gun is then not obstructing the middle of your screen. However, this also means your gun is completely out of position to shoot an enemy that may pop up out of nowhere. Keep your crosshair up at head levels as you move around each map, so if you have to pop off a quick shot from the hip, you'll already be aimed at the right place. And that brings us to tip 4. Get very comfortable with hip fire, aka point aiming. In Tarkov, unlike many other games, hipfire is extremely accurate and one of the most effective ways to dispatch an enemy. I've gotten kills from well over 20 or 30 meters while shooting from the hip, and it is so much quicker than actually aiming down your sights. Tactical devices such as lasers make hipfire even more accurate, so don't forget to use them when you can. You can practice hipfiring by going to the firing range in your hideout and passing by the shooting table. I can't stress enough how important it is to be a confident hip-firer in Escape from Tarkov. Tip 5. Sound is king. Sound is almost everything in Tarkov. When you're familiar with the maps, you can use tiny sound clues such as crunching glass or footsteps on a wooden floor or broken tiles to your massive advantage. I would say that using headphones, even the cheapest GSSHs, is absolutely mandatory if you can afford them. I personally never go into a raid without a headset. In fact, don't be afraid to max out your volume in Windows or on your headset IRL or your mixer to be able to hear absolutely as much as possible. Tip number 6. Learn the maps offline. So much of Tarkov is map knowledge. Whether it's for getting quests done or general PvP or finding your extracts, more map knowledge is more better. Period. If you have free time, fire up the game in offline mode and run around PvP heavy areas like dorms or in front of the Kiba gun store. Listen for what it sounds like when you run around certain areas. Figure out what your favorite places are to take cover or get an angle. It will pay off huge during live raids. Also, if you want to practice killing, you can enable scavs during offline raids. This is a great way to practice your hipfire, one taps, and much more. The more comfortable you are getting fired at and taking on scavs, the more confidence you will have when fighting players. Practice makes perfect, they say, and offline mode is a great way to get that much needed knowledge and practice. Tip 7. Be aware of your surroundings and move cover to cover. As I navigate a map, I'm always thinking of where I am least visible to enemy players and where I can go to take cover from gunfire. I'm constantly looking for dark or shady areas or bushes to move through and to have my back against a wall so I don't have to worry about covering my 6. Also, always try to be aware of where you're most likely to get shot from and try to stay protected from that direction. For example, if I'm passing by Stronghold on customs, I'll be sure that I'm as covered as I can from any of the mounted guns or upstairs firing positions. Tip 8. Get in the habit of using free look. Free Look is an amazing tool in Tarkov that basically gives you extra field of view whether you're stationary or moving. If you're sitting in a sniper spot trying to get Shooter Born in Heaven done, you can still free look left and right to see what's going on next to you. And of course, one of the best ways to gather information about what is going on beyond a door is to run by and free look through the door. It gives your opponent a tiny window to shoot you, but you can gather information on where they are. Also, as you move around the map, there's no harm in free looking both directions occasionally once you know your front is secure. Tip number 9. Shoulder peek to gather info. Little strafes left and right to see what is going on through doors is absolutely critical in Tarkov. Suppose you're about to enter a room or a hallway. There are a million places an enemy could be holed up waiting for you. If you quickly shoulder peek, you'll be able to glance into the room to see where they might be, and you might even bait out a shot to gather info. Tarkov is all about knowing more than your opponent and surprising them if you can. Suppose you do a shoulder peek and bait out a shot. You suddenly shift the fight in your favor for several reasons. First, your opponent now knows they gave up their position. Second, you know they're there and most likely where in the room they are. Third, if they move, you'll be able to hear where they go or catch them in transition. And fourth, you now have a ton of options at your disposal. You could use a grenade to get them to run, you could blind them with a flashlight, or you could even run away. It's up to you at that point. Tip 10. Be unpredictable and flank often. Flanking is one of the absolute best ways to get an advantage on your opponent. If you can somehow break line of sight from an enemy and get a different position, you will certainly be at a huge advantage. As soon as I get into any extended gunfight, I'm thinking about how I could reposition to a place where the enemy would not expect me and potentially get a free kill. Flanking ties into being unpredictable. Tarkov is so often about who gets the jump on who or who gets the free shot from the better position. Being unpredictable can take so many forms. It could mean being on a box when your opponent wouldn't expect it, or making a lot of noise and running around to confuse them, or opening a loot box or starting to heal to bait them into a push, or pushing right through their grenade toss. If you can find some way to surprise your opponent, you will definitely be getting the upper hand. And that brings us to tip 11. Use grenades often. Grenades are one of the most versatile tools in Tarkov, and not for the simple reason that they blow people to bits, but they have so many other uses. For example, grenades are fantastic to get people to abandon their cover. How often have you been in a fight where you and another person hear each other and then stop dead in your tracks and everything goes silent? A reasonably tossed grenade, not even a great grenade, can get the other person moving, which will give you info on where they are and open a window to push. Grenades can also be very useful in covering your movement. If you throw a grenade somewhere near an enemy position and start running behind it, the explosion will usually mask your steps, which gives you an opportunity to get into a position your opponent will not expect. Also, don't be afraid to push through an enemy grenade in close quarters. When an enemy throws a nade, they usually won't expect you to push right through it into them, and that gives you guessed it, the advantage of surprise. Tip 12. Use a flashlight. Fighting an enemy that has a flashlight pointed directly in your eyes is downright dreadful. Use this to your advantage. Bind your toggle tactical key to something really easy, and when you're clearing corners or you're about to make a push, turn your flashlight on. Blind your opponent and get that little advantage that will get you winning more gunfights. Tip number 13. Be patient. You do not need to play like Landmark or your other favorite Shift W key streamer. I'd suggest playing smart. Give yourself as many advantages as possible. If you know where an enemy is, you don't have to push if you don't like the feel of it. Be patient, wait for them to make a mistake, get out of position in the open, or even start looting. An easy free kill is still a kill. Trust me, there is no honor in Tarkov, there is only survival. And now for the final tip, number 14. Always be prepared for another. Tarkov players are herd creatures. When you use this guide to toss a nade, get into a great position, then pop your flashlight on and dust an opponent with hipfire, you're going to feel amazing, and your first thought might be to go loot your freshly slaughtered prey. But beware, the guy you just dropped probably has a friend waiting for you to drop down and loot so he can get that free one tap. I mean, he's being patient, right? Once you bag that kill, clear all the angles and corners around you and all bushes before dropping down to hoover up that juicy loot. And don't forget to use your sound cues to listen for rustling noises, footsteps, or heels turning. Another thing I want to mention about PvP in Tarkov is gear and ammo. It is really important to know what ammo to use in what situation. Are you trying to penetrate armor or flesh? Are you going for leg meta or headshots? Equally important is which armor and helmets to use at each stage of your progression. There are tons of great guides out there on these topics, so I'll leave it up to you to track them down. Okay, fellow Tarkovians, that's a wrap on PvP tips that should get you delivering head eyes versus getting head eyesed. If you found this information useful, please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for a ton more Tarkov Made Easy content we have in the pipeline. Also, leave me a comment, helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm, so type "stay hard" in the comments below to help me and the team out, or feel free to add something I left out or ask a question. Don't forget to check me out at twitch.tv/Trexcapades, where I am live Monday through Friday delivering that juicy and sometimes awkward content. If you're looking to connect with me or other Tarkov fiends, hit me up in the Discord, which is linked in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys, and may your head, jaws, face, and eyes always be elusive from enemy gunfire.